then after Elena, Dr. Deadly.
Hello, my kako. My name is Juliana Ellis. I work for UH Manoa, but I'm here as an individual. I'm from Waianae. I'm here to share that I have deep misgivings about the PLDC. I understand that the purpose of this meeting is to help revise the draft administrative rules, but the problem is that these rules do not protect Hawaii's environment, community, or culture, nor our past, which is carried within these public trust lands, as you know, which means it does not watch over or guard our future because it doesn't protect our past. William Ila actually taught me that, the person that defines the purpose of a meeting actually creates the capacity for vision, directs what we're allowed to look at, what matters, what's pertinent, what's relevant. But we as the people today have come here to bend that purpose because the PLDC, it seems, undermines the power of the people to self-determination, to malama, to nurture, to establish and re-establish connections to land. See, we understand our connection to land is genealogical. It's a place where learning constantly happens and the stories are in the land. They shape the contours. And now we may not be able to become familiar with these lands that may be given out for private purposes, but those lands are our extended families. If we cover over those lands and disperse it to those who are disconnected from it, who view it as a means towards a profitable end, then we render it vulnerable to abuse, to selfishness, to greed, and to the twists and turns of destructive decision-making by private businesses that are not accountable to the people. You as the PLDC have the power to remove public land from access to the public indefinitely. You as the PLDC have the power to make decisions about projects with vague, arbitrary, subjective criteria for approval. You of the PLDC don't anticipate the sale or gift of lands, but have provisions should a sale or gift happen that can be approved by the legislature. You as the PLDC have the power to provide private businesses with the playground of their choice in public lands. So in summary, I have deep misgivings about the PLDC and its power and tremendous potential for abuse. That public resources being used for private purposes is unconscionable, and it erases our connection to our past, and therefore our future. So I hope that these hearings will compel you to change your intention, or at the very least to postpone all projects until the voice of the people to repeal Act 55 is heard during this upcoming legislative session. And I urge you to listen to the strength and the power of the people who have gathered here, that the PLD's connection to private businesses for profit compromises your service to the people, the past, the people of the present, and the people of the future. Thank you.
Am I last?
Nope. Another page and a half. After Dr. Deadly, Liz Larson, and then Chairman Wong.
Aloha. I'm Dr. Kyani Deadly. I just would have a few comments tonight and hope to finish up in less than 3 minutes, okay? The first thought that I want to express is I don't think the legislature, when they formed the PLDC, really realized what they were doing. I really think that they thought they were just trying to set up some kind of a group that was going to get around the time problem of going through the Land Use Commission for a couple of years and going through the City Council for a couple of years. I think it was, let's try to get this through faster. However, the law winds up with exempting you from laws. And the last time I was here, I said you're not exempt from the Land Use Commission. Well, you are exempt from the Land Use Commission. What I would like to propose is, as far as your rules are concerned, put some of those laws back into your rules. Just because you are allowed to go around the Land Use Commission doesn't mean that you should skip all the laws that the Land Use Commission requires. The Land Use Commission was set up with basic laws. Let me give you an example. 4 of your first properties that you're considering are in prime agricultural land, but they're also in land that is currently under intensive cultivation. They are producing food for our people. There is a law in the Land Use Commission that says that you can't change land from agriculture to urban if it's been in agricultural production for two of the previous years. Why don't you put a rule in that says lands in intensive agricultural production for 2 years prior to consideration for sale or lease by the PLDC, or which have a high capacity for intensive agricultural use, that's out of their law, shall not be leased or used for other uses than farming. You know, keep things in farming that by law are supposed to stay in farming. You don't have to subvert all the laws just in order to kind of speed things up. I would like to say that, of course, I'm opposed to the whole act. I would like to see the whole act repealed, and I hope that we're able to do that in the next legislative session. I would like to say, though, that, you know, you've been through now several days of hearings, and the people aren't here to hear, and you poor guys are, and I really do pity you, and I thank you for sticking around. But, you know, my feeling would be after these hearings, oh my God, the people are really pissed. They really don't want this, okay? What am I going to do? And so I have a solution for you. Resign. Resign. You know, don't wait for the legislature. I mean, if you really understand what the people are saying, say to yourself, my job and my salary is not that important. You know, we're both old men. You don't need this job. All right, fella, you can get another job. And Bill, you can just simply say to the governor, I resign, Governor, if you don't get rid of this stupid thing. Okay, we can't go on with it. I thank you very much. I'm sorry I went to 3 minutes.
And then after Liz, Luciano, Mims on left. And then Megan.
From number 69.
Laylow
Page you
on.
guys haven't gotten yet.
Aloha. My name is Liz Larson. I am a resident of Waikiki, and I am coming before you as an individual. I support the repeal of Act 55. Hawaii has a very high proportion of state-owned land. I believe that Hawaii state government has a solemn duty to use these lands to better the conditions of the people of Hawaii. When the land was ceded to the state government at statehood, they made a promise to do 5 things with the precious public land. First, they promised to support public education. Second, they promised to better the condition of Hawaiians. Third, they promised to develop farm and land ownership. Fourth, they promised to fund public improvements. And fifth, they promised the land would be available for public use. I believe the government of Hawaii can do a better job at all 5 of these goals. And creating the PLDC is not the way. The DLNR was already created to oversee land use development. The PLDC is a redundant organization. The PLDC will be unrestrained in its ability to make use of land without being held to zoning standards, permitting requirements, coastal management standards, or public approval. Even though the stated goal of the PLDC is to generate revenue, as members of this board, I urge you to seriously consider creating laws in your governing body that will ensure that the 5 goals I mentioned are met. My name is Liz Larson, and if I am elected to the Hawaii State 12th Senate District, I will work energetically to repeal Act 55. Thank you.
Megan Lealoha on, and then Shelley Muneoka. Megan?
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Aloha mai kākou. My name is Megan Laylow, and I grew up on the windward side of this island, and my Hawaiian families come from Waimea, South Kohala, and on Hawaii Island and from Maui. I'm a student at UH Manoa and a member of MANA, Movement for Aloha no Ka'aina. Thank you for holding this meeting and staying for the testimony hearings. I wanted to share that I am in a strong opposition to Act 55. corporate values. They have no place in the proper management of public lands. How can you talk about new privatization endeavors when the current misuse and occupation of the Crown lands and Hawaiian government lands, this issue has not been addressed or reconciled? Also in terms of regulation, the level of ambiguity that's within the layers and layers of protection rules, it's very dangerous, and it leaves room for loopholes and corporate interests. Carelessness and greed and neglect like this harms Aina and ends life. It has always led to devastation for Hawaiians and public interests before in the past. It still does today, and this is not the way for our future. So please, I request that Act 55 be repealed. Mahalo.
Yep. And then Paulette Kalekini.
Oh, I think she might have went home.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Aloha. Mahalo nui for staying so late. And I know it's been a long week for you guys going to all the different islands. Really appreciate it. My name is Shelley. I'm a resident, born and raised in Heiauli on the windward side of this island. And I'm strongly opposed to the PLDC. I've been following it since it passed out of the legislature last year and was so shocked that, and I think a lot of even legislators were also shocked. And also I think ashamed that their name was put voting yes on it. And the way it went through the legislature is really sneaky and I think indicative of the process from the very beginning. So for Hawaiians, intention is very important, and I think the fact that it started out that way is not good. Yeah. So usually when I come out to testify against something, I have to make a clever sign or something that will help stick in people's mind about, you know, our position and how we feel. But with the PLDC, I didn't even have to do that because the Public Land Development Corporation says it all. Those words do not belong together. From the very beginning, that first word, the public and Native Hawaiians have been left out of this process, and that's why people are so upset. And I really do feel for you guys. They've just been getting blasted for a week, and I think that's a testament to the fact that people are like, whoa, when did this happen? These are supposed to be public lands. This affects us. How do we not know? Yeah? Why are we only being asked to weigh in on this after it's already been established? How come nobody asked, is this a good idea in the first place? Because we're all suffering from the economic downturn and all of those things, but nobody asked us, are we so desperate that it's come to this? But now it's established, and now you want input on the rules, and I think it's precisely why people have not been on topic in your meetings. So I'm sure it's been very frustrating for you. For me, the ask to comment on the rules is basically asking me for input on how to best exploit our aina, how to best exploit our kupuna, and that's not a conversation I'm ready to have now or ever, really. And really the only thing I'm interested in talking about is stopping the PLDC. There are no rules that will mitigate the intent to rapidly develop Hawaiian national lands with or without payment to OHA. With payment to OHA does not do anything for me. It's not about that, yeah. So Act 55 must be repealed. With my short time tonight, I just want to talk, of course, about Article 19. The exemptions are the most concerning thing for me. I'm not misinformed. I know you guys are subject to Chapter 343, the EIS, but I'm really irritated at the glossing over the importance, the bigness of the exemption over the county zoning laws and construction standards, because those are not frivolous things, and if they were frivolous, we wouldn't have them in the first place. Are PLDC projects inclined to have special qualities that make them have less impact on our aina? Of course not. The notion is laughable. Sorry, I'll wrap up. You know, when I look at your frequently asked questions about the exemptions, it says the PLDC may choose to follow the laws and construction standards, but when did the law become optional? The fact that you expect us to just believe that you'll opt to follow the law when you don't have to is insulting. I think that's why people are so angry. Yeah? The fluffiness of the laws is disrespectful and insulting because people want to know, will our lands be protected or not? When asked about the criteria of how will you determine whether or not a project will be approved, and the answer on here was they'll be evaluated individually on their own merits based on the information submitted by the developer. That means nothing. It means nothing. And that's very concerning to people. If you have no mechanism to say no, we will assume that you will keep saying yes. We don't want that. That's unacceptable, yeah. So finally, the Department of Land and Natural Resources should not be in the business of land development. The value of a natural resource should never be measured by how much revenue it can generate. This kind of thinking and practice inevitably leads us to the exploitation of our natural resources, which DLNR is supposedly charged with protecting against the exploitation of those resources. The housing of the PLDC under DLNR is antithetical to the existence of DLNR's mission and existence. Yeah. So again, there are no rules that will make the PLDC pono or even more palatable. And if you don't want to get more of these angry kind of blasting emails, please heed what people are saying. And ask yourself, why are people, hundreds of people sitting for hours and hours and hours, you know, what do they have to gain? And I think more precisely, what do we have to lose? I think people of all kinds are coming out because we sense what is at risk. For some people, it's the loss of public land. For some, the loss of their democracy. For Kanaka Maoli, what's at stake is our history and our future. Our ancestral memory and our connection to Aina, our genealogy that leads us right back to land, is what orients us to our future. So this is very serious for us, and I want you to keep that in mind, the sincerity of people when they come to testify here. Mahalo. Thank you.
Simply how it goes. Back in 1893, the year was military dethroned.